Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the showdown between the Beastmen and the Vampire Counts. It's going to be myself with Malagor, the dark flying pigeon thing, facing off against Anticity, who's going to be using the Blood Dragon Vampire Lord in a matchup that, like I've said on many occasions, used to be extremely favored, actually, for the forces of the vampires, but now I actually think it's a pretty damn even matchup. So for my build, you guys have seen this before. It's going to be Bestigors backed up by Korok's Manrippers, the Jabber Scythe here in the front line to Mortis Engine, the Mortis Engine faction. And we do also have the Bloodbrute Behemoth, who is hands down a staple here. The amount of damage output he puts, especially with that scaling damage, is gross. Double Wargors on foot, triple Spears on the back, and that is going to be it. So for Anticity, the Kraken King, he's got a bunch of zombies into the sunset. Looks like 4 of them, a couple Spears, 2 White Kings, a Varghul from Mortis Engine, and the Blood Dragon Lord with the Helm of Discord. Double Blood Knights as well, which are still, pretty good in this matchup. I know a lot of people like to kind of shit on Cavalry, but as long as they don't charge into like my Great Weapon Infantry, they can still be pretty functional. Now, again, Cavalry isn't quite as good as it used to be before the Rakarth patch, but still, can be useful in many matchups. I still, for example, in my Empire versus Beastmen matchup, use 3 Knights of the Blazing Sun, and I've had great success with them against top-level players. So, Bestigor is moving in against zombies. Frontline fighting is underway. Korok's Manripper is going to be getting down and dirty with the zombie nation here. Should be able to get rid of them pretty quick. And with the Jabber Scythe, you got to be careful. He's got those big flying attack animations, and you can see one misstep there, and it lets Anticity get in with like a bunch of free damage, which, with proper play, what you should do with Jabber Slice is go down this side. So I am going to be casting a Pendulum here. I pretty much one-shot his Königstein Stalker, so that felt pretty good. I mean, it's a 500 gold unit, but, casting a spell, getting rid of 500 gold, it's not the worst trade in the world. So Bestigors, of course, get through the front line, but Anticity did have a nice little breath attack. In the meantime, Cavalry on the flanks, I'm positioning my Bestigors and Jabber Slice to fight them. So the Jabber Scythe does move in, takes out a Blood Knight, and the other ones are going to be pulling back. While I do use Enfeebling Foe, I thought he might stay in combat and try and break these guys and maybe get through, but it ended up being a little bit of a waste of my Winds of Magic, but it's all good. So here we do have the Bloodbrute Behemoth getting in there and taking that Mortis Engine to Poundland. In the meantime, there is going to be a Blood Dragon Lord maybe dropping a Gaze of Nagash, but very lucky on my part. The Bloodbrute did like a spinning fist attack and dodged that attack unintentionally, so that was very, very lucky on my part. Now, another overextension here. The Bloodbrute Behemoth does overextend. I respond with an Overcasted Flock of Doom, which is going to be hitting everything nearby. AoE spells are also currently a little bit wonky. I don't know if it was intentional by Creative Assembly, but they hit everything that touches the tip of the ring. So it doesn't go from the flag to flag anymore like it used to. But Bloodbrute doing good work, getting the Blood Dragon Lord pretty beat up despite the fact he's taking a lot of damage. It's a worthwhile trade. At least I got something from it, and it wasn't just a one-sided beating. Here in the back, we do get the Bestigors charging into Blood Knights, which is good for me. So the Bestigors will be able to dominate them pretty easily if they stay in combat, but Anticity is a clever foe, and he is not going to be letting that happen. So he will be getting back here, while the Jabber Scythe takes another really unfortunate leap here into the battle lines and does hit that White King. Now back here, Bloodbrute Behemoth able to go after the Mortis Engine, getting it very, very low. Malagor also pushing in, and this is very clutch. I think if I can kill the Mortis Engine, especially this early in the match, 2 minutes and a half, I think that will probably give me the win here in the game, simply because I have Korok's Manrippers and Bestigors and a ton of good infantry left that they would really struggle to deal with without the Mortis Engine. But he does get it away. So the Mortis Engine pulls back. Bloodbrute Behemoth going to be retreating through. We almost got that Blood Dragon Lord, and the damn Jabber Scythe getting a little bit too crazy with its leaping attacks. Although it is a double-edged sword. Look at that. It was in danger, and now it's safe again. A really good Gaze of Nagash going down from Anticity here, while we do get the Bloodbrute Behemoth to pile in and try and finish off that damn Mortis Engine. It's at negative leadership, but the Blood Knights are going to be probably sacrificed to a large extent here to protect the Mortis Engine, which is a very, very good call on my opponent's part here. The Jabber Slice also giving it back. So all the skeletons and chaff units for the Vampire Counts here are also suffering the effects of the Mortis Engine, so we're giving it back to each other. Granted, some of his, other units that are in good health might not be suffering the Mortis Engine effect, like these Skeleton Spheres, which have, they're not below 50%. We don't quite get that damn Mortis Engine. I was so bummed that thing kept getting away. It was just on the razor's edge. Same with the Blood Dragon Lord. So many of these catches, man, were so close, but with excellent micro from my opponent, he's able to get those bad boys away. And there, the Bloodbrute Behemoth, a very fortuitous attack there, does dodge that big breath coming in from the Blood Dragon Lord. As I continue to circle about, I'm basically just trying to get him to commit to a dive so I can kind of counterpunch and then countercharge with Malagor. But he knows I'm trying to bait him here. We were in chat together, and, I was kind of a little bit, you could tell in my voice. I was like, come on, give it to me, baby. Give me that Blood Dragon Lord. But excellent micro again. So the Blood Dragon Lord flying around looking for the Behemoth, the Jabber Scythe out in the danger zone, and getting bullied here by the Vampire Gorilla, just trying to get it back to my formation. I find that Beastmen monsters are kind of hard to break. But anyways, see what I'm saying? The Mortis Engine has been draining my elite infantry this entire time. And if I could have gotten it 2 minutes ago, man, it would have been so nice. But just so close, 99 HP, negative 17, and I just can't get it. The Blood Knights collapse in once again and pin in my bird. They, pin in most of my troops here. We have the double Wargors on foot. And the Jabber Slice moving back across to try and get some atomic slap in there, but the Blood Brute Behemoth has fallen. My 2,800 gold investment, or 2,500? Yeah, it's 2,500, I think, for the Blood Brute Behemoth. But, you know, the vampires don't have much infantry either. Skeleton spears are all gone, so we both successfully killed the infantry. However, my inability to kill his Mortis Engine over the course of the battle really, you know, came back to get me here in the later stages of the game. And now you can see the bounce powers reflecting that. Blood Knight's still doing pretty good, you know, cleaning up the monsters, chasing things down. I have the double Wargors on foot, which I like quite a bit. I find that they usually get between 600 to 1,000 value on foot. Just solid, cost-effective, durable foot characters with good combat stats. And here they are going to be doing their best to cut through the vampiric characters. But at this point, I think Anticity probably has too many single entities left. He's got the White Kings, the Blood Dragon Lord, plus the Vargulf, and the 2 Blood Knights to kind of run interference and, you know, charge my units and whatnot. So the Bestigors are routing there and rallying. They'll be back in a second. But the 2 Wargors trying their best, but with one getting routed there, that probably is going to be the end of the road. As Malagor does charge in, goes after the Lord, and gets a little bit of damage. Another cute little flock of doom right there. The battle does drag on for a minute longer, but it's very much a foregone conclusion as I'm just being hunted and slowly beaten down by the vampiric monsters. So yeah, well played, well played. It was a fun match for sure. I had some pretty good success with this build against vampire counts. And, you know, it was a close game. It really could have gone either way. If we had gotten a better engagement on the Mortis Engine, maybe just gotten 100 extra damage on it at some point, maybe we could have had the game. But, you know, he had great micro and didn't let that happen. Malagor was great, 1,600. Wargors both paid for themselves. 2,600 on the Blood Brute. Jabber Slice just about paid for itself. I mean, everything in the army did well except one Bestigor, right? Which is awesome. So he just got too much healing. That's it. Because like the overall value we accrued on our forces is more or less the value of his army, but his healing was allowed to go on longer than it should have. And we paid the price. Great dragon play. That was really cool to see. His White Kings, 1,200. Look at that. And the cavalry probably did good too. 1,100, 1,400. Not bad at all. And they were still functional in the late game. So yeah, great play. Another thing I probably should have done is maybe save the Mortis Engine for... or save the Pendulum for the cavalry, but he had really good micro with it. Like, he didn't leave them sitting long enough for me to really do that. Maybe in some of the blob fights it could have, but I felt like the Flock of Dooms were good for clearing out the chaff and things like that. But if you guys are, of course, looking, you know, as it pertains to what magic you want to use, nowadays, any AoE spells are very strong. So Traderkin is incredibly powerful, things like that, because the way that AoE magic works has been unintentionally changed, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think it was intended. Now anything that hits the cusp of a border of like a final transmutation or anything like that is going to be taking some pretty brutal damage. So yeah, I like this build. I don't know. The thing about it is it's kind of like limited in scope. It really just comes down to the single entity monster match, which we did okay in. A couple of bad overextensions certainly hurt me, but I was talking to Anticity after the game, and he's been practicing a lot for tournaments and you know, really competitive stuff. And he mentioned to me that Beastmen players against vampire counts are actually going wider style builds, like swarming, which I thought was very interesting because normally doing that against vampire counts can be a death sentence. But obviously they've gotten a ton of new tools, right? And if you were to use some of the other new elements, maybe to support your width, that's kind of a cool idea. Like raiders to shoot here, swarming Razor Gore herds to help deal with cavalry backed up by chaff units. Like, there's so many cool ways to play Beastmen now. But all right, that's it. Well played to my opponent. Make sure to check him out on his YouTube channel in the comment section below. And that'll be it for now. Take care, my friends.